and pick it up just like this. Yeah, cup of Ace, cup of Goose, cup of Chris. I heal something worth a half a ticket on my wrist. Taking all the liquor straight, never chase that. Now rooftop like we bringing 88 back. What? Bring the hooks in where the bass at. Champagne spilling, you should taste that. I'm so fancy.
This is like the one song we get Davis to really dance to.
Dude, I love Iggy Azalea.
Apparently that's not all Davis does to this song, according to his Twitter feed.
Whoa!
What else did I say?
Oh my gosh. Let's not go there, Michael.
No, that's my best friend's girlfriend, dude. Like, you can't be like that.
You're the one who tweeted. I don't know.
I just said I like the song. That's Swaggy's girl, you know.
I misunderstood.
So, anyways.
This is getting awkward. Getting awkward early. I wore this shirt because it's fancy, just a little plain pink tee. I felt fancy putting it on.
Stop interrupting me, Michael. Okay? Alright.
Come on, David, I'm just trying to talk about my shirt on the show.
Yeah. Mike, can you say, before we really start, can you say, hiya, Ronald?
Hiya, Ronald.
Grimace. Alright, so this is the Daily Fantasy MLB Show, brought to you by FantasyInsiders.com, and sponsored by FantasyElite, the app that you can get in the App Store. With me on today's show, we have Davis Maddock from Fantasy Insiders, and Michael Leone from the Daily Fantasy Rundown there at RotoExperts.com. So, good to have you both. Mike, you're wearing the pink pastel. I like it. It complements the room. Davis, you're wearing the Wu-Tang Clan with the white V-neck. So,
in other words, what I wear every single day of my life.
I feel like we've got like two opposite extremes going on. Like, Michael is definitely the goody good of the show for sure. Like, he is.
No, that's Derek Carty.
No, Derek is the Derek gets a little crazy like when he gets out. Have you seen him dancing?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, you missed it. So anyways, Laffy is not going to be on the show today. We will miss him greatly, and I am back in the hosting chair. So guys, what are your initial thoughts for today's slate? Davis, you hate today's slate, don't you?
Stop it. I'm so excited. I love the pitchers. I love the hitters. It's a great. I even bet on some Vegas lines. I'm so excited about today's slate.
Michael?
Oh, was I supposed to naturally pick up there? It's without Laufey, I'm lost. No, I like today's slate. There's a lot of high upside matchups. A lot of pitchers I want to use. Looking forward to it. Let's get into the pitchers.
Okay, yeah, let's get into the pitchers then. Who are some of the pitchers that you guys like for today?
Cy Keuchel. I'm all about that versus the Twins. I know Derek and I talked on the show the other day about the Twins lineup being better than you think because of the return of Willingham and Arcia, but Arcia in particular is a high K guy, and Keuchel has such dominating ground ball stuff that I'm like. Willingham and Arcia are not such good hitters that their fly ball tendencies dominate over Keuchel's ground ball tendencies.
And Arcia is actually out because he sprained his ankle yesterday. So
Davis, you were high on Arcia yesterday. I'm guessing you played him everywhere?
Yeah, did you have him everywhere? Like, you told me how good he was going to do, and then he hit a grand slam, so I just figured you won all the money.
Yeah, I figured you did really well because you said that you were playing him. You touted him on the show, so I don't know why.
Yeah, great call.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really great call. I hope you benefited financially.
Listen, anytime you can get Corey Dickerson in your lineup, you got to do it. So,
yeah,
I hate myself.
Well, I wouldn't go to that extreme, but I mean, you should be punished. Michael, who are some of the pitchers that you like for today?
I think Darvish is the top guy, but I don't think the gap between him and Cueto and Keuchel is, super large where you have to pay up for him. His K rate is just so insane that it mitigates most of the risk of playing in Texas and playing versus an Indians lineup that's better than I think people think. They're near the top 10 in the league in weighted runs created plus against right-handed pitching. But Cueto versus that Phillies lineup, they're like 28th, I think, in WRC plus against right-hand pitching. They strike out a lot. They're not very good. Cueto pitches deep into games. I think he's probably your best option on FanDuel, but I like mixing him in with Darvish and Keuchel. That Twins lineup, even though they've got a couple guys that hit lefties well, for the most part, if you're looking at the lineup as a whole, they're not very good versus left-handed pitching, and his like 2.7 ERA is completely legit. The peripheral stats back it up. He's allowing like no line drives, a ton of ground balls. He's not walking people. I'm pretty excited to finally use him tonight.
Yep, I'm on board. I'm paying the $20K price tag on Draft Street. And on DraftKings, he's super affordable. He's only like 9.9 on DraftKings, 7.7 on FanDuel. You could theoretically play a lineup with Puig and Cruz or Puig and Donaldson, something like that, on FanDuel without too much difficulty. So I definitely, if I was starting a lineup, I think I would start with Keuchel and then see if I could get a lineup full of hitters that I really liked. I think that's probably the way that I would go on FanDuel tonight for cash games. I think Darvish, ironically enough, is actually the tournament play, because I think because there are so many sort of mid-priced pitching options with Hamels, Cueto, Keuchel, I actually think Darvish is going to be kind of under-owned tonight in double-ups.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to play for the win, but part of the reason why Darvish separates himself is he's by far the biggest favorite of the three top guys we're talking about. I think Keuchel is actually a small underdog, which I don't agree with, and I'm not saying you shouldn't play him for that, because if you end up just thinking about the win on FanDuel, you end up getting yourself in trouble and, not playing guys that you should just because of it. But at the same time, it counts a little bit. I mean, you have to take into consideration, and that's why I think Darvish and Cueto might be slightly better cash game plays than Keuchel there. But on multiple starting pitcher sites, I definitely like Keuchel a lot. I like Cole Hamels. He's playing a Reds lineup that really just sucks right now, and Mesoraco is not even in the lineup. Probably the biggest threat for a left-handed pitcher. I
actually like Hamels more than Cueto tonight for a couple reasons. One, because he's cheaper everywhere, and a couple places significantly so, specifically FanDuel and Draft Street. But also because if you go look at the actual lineup that the Phillies are running out, just basically their best hitters and the bottom of their order have the platoon advantage on him. And this was something we talked about when David Price was facing that 9-righty lineup the other day. And it ended up not mattering that much because Price struck out the side in the 6th and got 2 more in the 7th, which ended up making his fantasy day. But if he wouldn't have gotten all of those Ks...
Thoughts on Tyson Ross today in Petco?
I like Tyson Ross a lot. He's just been pitching well, so his price is up there, and he's not as good as the other options.
Is his price up there though? I mean, you look
not on FanDuel.
6,500 on FanDuel.
But isn't he on the multiple starting pitcher sites?
What's that?
I think he is on. Well, the way I look at it, FanDuel, I'm pretty much locked into my top 3 or 4 guys almost regardless of price for cash games. And then for the multiple pitching sites, I think his price is up. So that's kind of my issue. Yeah. Unless I'm wrong and his price isn't up on the multiple pitching.
He's $3K more expensive than Hamels on Draft Street.
Yeah, Draft Street 19.2. So obviously he's more expensive there. DraftKings not too expensive at 9.1 though. That's not terrible. That's kind of like that.
No, but it's
he wouldn't even be in play for me at that tag.
It's the same price as Keuchel and more than Hamels.
Okay, yeah, Hamels is 8.9. He's 9.1. Which pitcher would you rather have tonight?
Hamels,
yeah.
And I think pretty easy for me. I'm a little worried, Hamels sometimes can give up home runs, and that's a home run park, but that lineup's so bad, and I think he's just a better pitcher.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and Ben's looking at the matchups, and he's going, that Nationals lineup is trash right now. He's looking at the park factor. But with pitchers, I think park factor is a lot more important to hitters if we're not talking about Coors Field or Great American Ballpark. I know Leone's wrinkling his eyes at me at that.
Well, it kind of inherently doesn't make sense for that to be true.
It's kind of.
Oh God.
I'm talking my personal philosophy when it comes to picking pitchers. I look at their skills before I look at anything else, and Hamels just across the board has better skills when looking at K rate and stuff like that than Ross does. And I also am not afraid of that Reds lineup at all. That Reds lineup is just as punchless as the Nationals lineup is right now. Maybe even a little bit less so with the return of Adam LaRoche.
Yeah, I think when you take everything into consideration, they're pretty close. Like I could see throwing Ross. I'm not
Davis,
against
you've
it.
got to stop, bro. Oh my
Sorry, dude.
gosh.
I like Ross. I just don't like him as much as Hamels. I guess. Keep it simple. But a guy I like for cheap on multiple starting pitcher sites is Brandon McCarthy. I think he might be a really good tournament play. Davis is shaking his head at me, but I'm looking at him, and he's facing a Braves lineup that sucks against right-handed pitching, strikes out a ton against it, and right now he's got a 2.87 xFIP, which I know we can't use that for everyone. Sometimes there's a reason guys' ERAs are above their xFIPs, but for his career, his ERAs are right in line with his xFIP. He's got a ground ball rate of 55. I mean, all the peripherals are awesome. 7.8 Ks per 9, only 1.61 walks per 9. And the biggest thing for me is he's throwing 93. He's never thrown that hard before. So, there's reason to believe the peripherals are legit and not just noise. When he's throwing that hard, he was throwing that hard again last start. And the swinging strike rate is his highest since 2006. And not coincidentally, his K rate is the highest it's ever been.
He was up really late last night tweeting about D-Day, though, so I don't know if that's an option that you want to use tonight, because he was awake really late, so... No, McCarthy is like one of the few athletes who's actually fun to follow. I think he actually follows me. I'm not sure.
Oh my god.
Way to subtly sneak that in, Davis.
Oh, he's actually a really cool guy. He follows me. Is definitely what you just said.
No, he doesn't follow me anymore. He does sometimes.
He so unfollowed you.
It's not surprising. I probably
bragged
trashed
about him following you, and then he unfollowed you. That's bad.
Yeah, I mean, bad. I don't blame anyone who's ever unfollowed me. Like, my Twitter feed is not for everybody.
All right,
Obviously.
last guy, Tanner Rourke, also in Petco against the Padres. GPP play. Davis, you're shaking his head. No, you're shaking your head. No. I think on FanDuel you would want to have Ross over him, but on DraftKings 7.6 would allow you to get some pretty heavy bats in there.
Yeah, I think it's a safe play.
Or David Price sucks.
Speaking of barometer,
well, Price's velo is down, so you could argue that his homer to fly ball rate isn't all bad luck.
Yeah.
So that would be one of those exceptions.
if anyone's still watching, can you tell me if Andy won today? Last time I saw, they were up 10-7 on Stanford in the Super Regionals. This was in the 6th inning. But speaking of barometer, Michael, the only game in jeopardy tonight is this Rockies game. Dodgers at Rockies. You've got basically a 60% chance.
Dude, no, we're clear now. We're good.
Are you sure?
No, if it comes early, you could get a delay, but since I checked this morning, it's moved back. The rain doesn't start until the 4th hour that the game would be in.
Okay.
Or the end of the 3rd hour.
Yeah, and you're not using the pitchers in this game regardless, no matter what Natural Slugger tweets about Eddie Butler.
What did he tweet about Eddie Butler?
He just, I don't know, he was standard Ben things, if he gets juiced up, he might touch 99 on the gun. Just so many Ben things in a sequence of tweets. It was kind of incredible.
What did he
He just said he might be a good GPP option or something on Draft Street.
And
last guy that he
really
said
take batters against him.
Yeah.
He said take Pugh or no one else, I think.
Nah, I'm not on board with that at all.
Did you say Pug?
Oh God!
You definitely said Pug. Oh man. Okay. pubic hairs.
So, can we just talk about Butler just for a second before we talk about hitters?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like in between.
If
you
Ben
and
says
Ben,
it,
probably.
it's good to go. I mean, he said the same thing about Robbie LaRosa last week. And
So if one good call cemented your like status forever, then
I think
would
like
be
Robbie
God.
De La Rosa versus the Rays is a little different, but Ben's argument is that Butler has really good stuff that he's not going to be as bad as people think just because it's in cores. And I think he has a point to an extent. You know, he does project to have really good stuff. He was, you know, a touted prospect. My take is that...
Oh, can we move on then to... you say that weather is not going to be an issue, so if we play in those guys, we should be safe. So
I think so.
Mike is definitely saying that I am not. I'm saying check the radar closer to lineup block. So
Yeah, I mean, it could change. I mean,
yeah.
As of right now, I think
Sick hedge, bro.
he'd be willing to risk it.
Yeah.
Let's do some hitters.
Let's do some hitters, man. Who are some of the catchers that you like for tonight?
Well, first I should say Willen Rosario's not in the lineup. He was my top play in today's content.
Cool.
So scrap that. The guys I like, Derek Norris gets a nice park shift, has the platoon edge against Wei and Chen in Baltimore. I like him a lot. Alex Avila is pretty cheap on Draft Street. He's hitting 5th, which is a really good spot for him. It's a little bit of a high-risk, high-reward matchup against Robbie De La Rosa, and those are the two that I'm looking at mostly. I think Posey, anytime he faces a lefty, is just so good that you have to consider him. On FanDuel, I like him most, where you can get good points out of just like your individual batter doing well, even if the guys around him don't do so well. But on other sites, I don't know if I want to pay too high of a price tag for him in what's probably going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah. You obviously forgot to mention Nick Hundley, who's just like so incredible versus left-handed pitching. I mean, that is a joke, but he's also the bare minimum on every single site, including Draft Street. And if Derek Carty writes someone up, I'm like inclined to pay attention to him because Derek knows what's up. And also, Tommy Mione away from home is just a disaster, just an absolute disaster. Like the Orioles are gonna go ham on him tonight, and even though he's hitting 9th, I think he's in a hashtag pretty good spot. And I also like John Buck versus Eric Bedard hitting cleanup. He's close to the minimum on FanDuel. He's close to the minimum on DraftKings. He basically does nothing but hit for power, but if he gets one over the fence, you're going to be pretty happy. So I don't other than Norris, I don't think there's any catcher worth paying up for. Like I'm not paying up for Norris on Draft Street. On FanDuel where you can get him in, I don't hate it.
Okay. Yeah, just looking right now. Avila and Hundley are Carty's pitchers, so he's on board with punting the pitchers.
Well, not his pitchers, his catchers.
Catchers.
I like the Avila play way more just because Hundley's batting 9th.
You also are a noted Nick Hundley hater, so when he dogs tonight...
He has some pretty, like, big reverse splits and, like...
Yeah.
And it's more than just, like, random BABIP noise in those reverse splits.
No, he's not very good at all.
So, it's kind of like a home run or bust play at home. Like, I don't absolutely hate it if you get him at the minimum, but I would much rather have Avila.
All right, moving on to second base.
D. Gordon. Mike once joked to me on GChat, and I think he wrote it up in the Daily Fantasy Rundown the next day, but basically just taking D. Gordon every single day for the rest of the season, and you would probably end up ahead in terms of like EV. But I think tonight is like a super, super good spot to take him in pretty much, because we're on the Dodgers anyways, so we think they're going to score a lot of runs. He has the platoon advantage, and also Coors Field really suppresses K rate, so there's like less of a chance that he makes outs how he normally makes outs because he's not a very good hitter. So I'm just like any park that basically makes contact more likely, I'm all over D. Gordon.
Mike,
Sorry, I was responding to the chat. Yeah, I'm with D. Gordon. I like D. Gordon a lot. I generally like to take speed guys against, guys making their debuts, pretty young guys that are less experienced. They're holding runners on, especially runners of Gordon's caliber. And it's not like anyone's really keeping Gordon in check anyways, experienced or inexperienced. I also like... Who do I like? Pedroia on FanDuel. He's got a hand issue, so I don't love paying up for him, but his price is so great on FanDuel that I'll take him versus a lefty, all day long at that tag. I also like Howie Kendrick because I think Rienzo's pretty terrible. The Angels, even at home in their big park, have a team total of 5 according to Sportsbook. So I think that's another good one. He's pretty cheap on some sites, not all sites. I wouldn't pay as much for him as I would Pedroia Gordon, but if you get a discount, that's good. And then if you want exposure against Chris Young of the Mariners, then I think Ben Zobrist is kind of the easiest way to get it because I don't really like too many of the other Rays, and he's only around 5K on Draft Street.
And 3.5 on DraftKings, which is really good. He would be my top second baseman for the day. So there you go. As far as shortstop, Davis, who are some shortstops that you like?
1 second. I just want to make a note on Pedroia. I'm done taking guys with hand or wrist injuries because I took Cargo that last game in Coors Field when he got pinch hit for. But basically, in terms of contextual factors, a hand or a wrist injury is really the worst sort of guy that you can take a gamble on because that completely saps a batter's power, and it's hard to quantify. But at a night when I really like, first of all, Charlie Culberson has the platoon advantage, which he rarely does, and he sucks. But I would rather take him for 800 less or D. Gordon for 800 more than settle for an injured Pedroia. But in terms of shortstop, I think it's Xander Bogaerts or J.J. Hardy, depending on how the rest of your lineup construction goes. If you're looking to punt with power, it's Hardy. If you're looking to take a guy who has, I think, a greater than 400 weighted on base average versus left-handed pitching, I think you're taking Bogaerts.
Troy's not in the picture?
Troy, like as in Tulowitzki?
No, the other Troy that's a shortstop.
I think.
Am I right, Mike?
We're actually talking about the movie Troy.
Oh my gosh!
Okay.
Oh,
well,
we're
also,
actually talking about the quarterback from the Cowboys.
How many people refer to Tulowitzki as Troy? It's Tulo. Who does that?
Okay,
we're not the ones who are, bragging about people following us on Twitter.
Yeah, no. When you have a personal relationship with Troy, as I call him, then you can...
It's a first-name basis. Like, we don't want to go out of our way to say, okay, we're friends with Troy Tulowitzki. We just call him Troy. Like, it's just the way it is. We don't have to, make a point of it like you do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like how I call Swaggy P Nick, just because, we're that good of friends. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, except that you put the disclaimer that because you're that good of friends, we just do it.
Yeah, it just
because it's natural.
Anyways, yes. The Troy Tulowitzki that plays shortstop for the Colorado Rockies. I don't want to say not too expensive, but at the shortstop position, I don't know. I'm
fine paying up for him.
I'd rather pay up for him than go Bogart. I know Bogarts has been hot lately, but
I just don't like to take Tulo away from Coors. I think it takes out a lot of profit potential.
Not what
I meant. Not what I meant to say. No, not what I meant to say. I think Ryu is a good pitcher.
Yes.
And I think the thing that we get into with Coors is, oh my God, Coors. But I think the skill of the pitcher matters, and we've seen that. So Lyles sucked and Nicasio sucked last night, but Jorge De La Rosa is actually an all right pitcher, and so we
are
get
you
ourselves
betting the under on that game then?
Except it's pretty low. It's like a 7.
Because it's not just that we're going crazy. Vegas has a 10.5 total on that game.
Yeah, I would take
and
the
a
under
team total of 5 for the Rockies.
I would take the under on that.
So I don't think you're going overboard, saying, especially at the shortstop position, saying pay for Tulowitzki and Coors.
I'm saying I would rather pay for Bogaerts tonight.
Yeah, Bogaerts has been unreal against left-handed pitching, both WOBA-wise and just if you look at the underlying skill set with the ISO, line drive rate, and batting eye. But I don't know. I keep finding myself not using him now that the price is rising. I don't think Culberson, as much as he sucks, for bare minimum on Draft Street, where it's hard to get a guy at bare minimum, especially shortstop eligible, who's worth playing. I think he's definitely, legit. You've always got Jed Lowry kind of in the middle there. If you're just like, whatever for shortstop. I like Elvis Andrus tonight because Bauer walks a ton of people, and I've noticed in his past few starts, it seems like he's been pretty able to steal against, pretty easy to steal against. So I like him tonight at pretty cheap prices.
That's someone we haven't talked about though, but stacking Rangers against Bauer is like a super not terrible idea because you never know what you're getting with Bauer. Like you might get 5 innings, like 9 Ks from him, but that also might come with like 6 earned runs though. So like I don't hate the Rangers play at all.
Yeah, I like Chu a lot. I mean, we're not at the outfield, but for pretty much the same reasons. Just
yeah. Hey, Leone, do you have your iPhone with you right now?
Oh, no, why?
Just play. Just if you're doing an elite draft, just play in a
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it's Troy or JJ at shortstop. I think that's where I'm leaning towards.
We're really gonna call him Troy though. Like that's really something we're gonna do.
Dude, you gotta let this go, man.
You really have to let this go.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not letting this go.
I'm still shocked that you said, for the Rockies, that Troy? Yeah.
Yeah. And you could be talking about LaTroy Hawkins. I don't know. He also pitches for the Rockies, so like
Troy Aikman come back from retirement?
Yeah.
All right. Stacks that you like for tonight.
Orioles, Rockies.
Orioles, A's, Rockies, Dodgers.
Yep. The A's stack when they face left-handed pitching is getting really hard to do because you basically have to choose between Cespedes and Donaldson because they're both just ridiculously expensive everywhere. Donaldson particularly so, just outrageous expensive.
Yeah, there's also a huge gap between him and the next third baseman, I feel like, today, though.
Yeah,
Where,
do you not like Machado?
Oh, no Kadire either? Oh, man, I didn't see this Rockies lineup. I don't mind the Cardinals as much as I really like Marcus Stroman. I think they might be under-owned. Getting a big park shift. Stroman's still going to be a little bit, I think, up and down. And people, because he did so well his last start, might not be picking on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Angels also.
Yeah, there's a lot of
there's a lot
to take advantage of tonight.
Yeah. Basically tonight it's a bunch of pitchers that you can stack against and then a bunch of really good pitchers. So like it's just an ideal mix tonight, which is why I got so excited for tonight's slate. I think own percentages are going to be pretty low. I did want to say I do like Tavares tonight.
Oh yeah, he's great hitting second. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah,
I got really excited too.
Well, and and Stroman is a short guy, and so that leads to like a weird plane of delivery for his fastball, and so he's always been homer prone.
Yeah, that's a homer. That's not a good part for someone who's homer prone. And I do like Stroman, so I wouldn't go overboard in cash games, but Tavares' price point on like DraftKings and FanDuel is just so stupid cheap for how good, we're expecting him to be that. If you get him against a righty, a volatile righty in a hitter's park, like you're not going to get very many chances to do that at this price point.
Yeah, no, I'm completely on board. I can vibe with that. I think is what the kids are saying these days. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, as like pulling up a graphic with that poster in your background, Davis.
Well, this just ran off of my head, but for pitchers, if you're on Draft Street, I think you can go 2 starting pitchers with Kimbrel. He hasn't pitched at all this month, and he's the type of guy that, even in a non-save situation, can get you 4 points because he strikes out so many people.
Have you been reading Ben's article again?
No, I did not.
He was the relief pitcher of the day today.
That's funny because I almost never mention a relief pitcher, and I actually wrote him up today. In just the notes section. But.
Oh, gotcha. All right, so moving on to first base. Davis?
I mean, I assume Mike's going to talk about the obvious guys, Adam Lind, Adrian Gonzalez. So I wanted to say that For cash games where he's super depressed in price, like FanDuel, I actually kind of like Hosmer tonight. I just think that Whitley, not a like great pitcher. Hosmer he was really bad versus Wainwright. Obviously, he struck out 4 times, but he doesn't have any power. But I think he might lead the majors in doubles at this point. He might be close, and I just think in general he's kind of an underrated play against right-handed pitching. He's not going to win you any games, but he also, against a mediocre pitcher, is kind of a safe bet for 4 or 5 FanDuel points.
Yeah, I think Lind and Adrian Gonzalez, like Davis alluded to, are probably your best cash game options. I also really like Chris Davis. Malone, even though he's a lefty, kind of has reverse splits. He allows, over a 50% fly ball rate to left-handed batters, which is pretty insane if you're going to be giving up, 2 fly balls to Chris Davis. There's a decent chance he gets a homer. I mean, that's led to 1.42 home runs per 9 for Malone against lefties since 2011. And he doesn't exactly pitch super deep into games, so you can also get the platoon advantage versus a reliever late in the game. So I like Chris Davis a lot, and I think people will just automatically dismiss him because of lefty-lefty, and you might be able to get a nice low-owned percentage on him in a tournament.
Chris Davis is like so annoying though. Like every time I take him when he's in a hashtag pretty good spot, it doesn't work out, and it's super annoying because then Adam Jones and Nelson Cruz dong in the same game, and then Chris Davis is here grounding out to shortstop 4 times. It's just it's super annoying. Obviously that doesn't really matter. So hashtag cool story, Davis.
Agon is definitely my number 1, but again, kind of going with the Yankees theme. I think Tex is in line. He would be my under-the-radar dong for tonight.
See, that's another guy I'm worried about in terms of the power, because he's also struggling with a hand, wrist, arm injury, and just with guys who are pure power hitters, that saps their power. They just can't make the same contact.
You agree with that, Michael?
I don't like to mess around hand injuries too much, but I'm fine with playing Tex tonight.
Okay, well, contradictory statements for the win.
Well, I mean,
go.
It's like a tiebreaker for me, unless he's been really struggling, and then I'll just put him on a straight avoid list. Same thing with Pedroia. As a tiebreaker when he's priced with Gordon, I'll go Gordon. But if he's $800 cheaper, I don't mind taking the risk.
Fair enough. Third base. Another option for first base would, of course, be Pujols if you're going heavy on Hells. Third base, Longo Dongo for the win, guys. Maybe.
I like him for tournaments, but he's been kind of a mess at the plate.
The Rays are just so terrible, and I was making fun of Leone before the show, you buying into the Rays just being a streaky, because we always talk about how streaks, aren't necessarily so much of a thing, but the Rays just suck. That's just all there is to it. They just suck.
I mean, there's definitely home run upside anytime you face a guy like Chris Young, who probably has the most extreme fly ball splits of any pitcher to continue to start ever. You've got home run upside, but he's hitting a lot of ground balls. He doesn't have the platoon edge. I'm fine with it in tournaments, but he's not a guy that I had marked down for cash games.
He's also the only starting pitcher in the major leagues who, when you subtract his K rate, or you subtract his walk rate from his K rate, it turns out a negative number. He walks more guys than he strikes out. The only pitcher in the majors. That's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I don't think it's that bad, but it's pretty bad.
No, it is. I just saw it the other day.
Yeah, is this another situation where Davis said 3 of the last 10 games were positive, and it was really 5 of the last 10?
I didn't see a .25. Sorry, guys.
2.25.
I mean, he's definitely struck out more guys than he's walked. So
I'm pulling it up right now.
I mean, that's just a fact.
What's that, Davis?
Okay, I'm pulling up K minus walk rate right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's terrible. But let's not.
It moved. Okay, well, it moved after his last start. It moved to the positives. He has a 2% K minus walk percentage.
All right. Well,
that's terrible.
Yeah, that's horrific. There's nothing good about what he does as a pitcher.
There was actually a really good article on Fangraphs the other day. Eno Saris interviewed him, and he basically like got in Eno's face and was like, "You don't understand what I do," because he was basically like, "Dude, why do you give us so many home runs?" And he kind of explained how pitches that are down and in are actually getting hit for more home runs this year. Like guys are doing them like golf swings, pitches that are down and in, and actually balls that are up in the zone are turning into less home runs than they have previously. So for whatever that's worth, probably nothing.
Nah, I mean, as it relates to, entertainment, it's worth a little something.
The one thing I read about like extreme fly ball pitchers is, and Dink pointed out this is kind of like survival bias, but they generally have a lower home run to fly ball rate than the league average, and that's been true of Chris Young for his career. And the BABIP is obviously low because fly balls have the lowest BABIP of any type of ball in play. So he does outperform, his expected ERAs because of that. But even after taking that into account, it's still pretty ugly looking.
All right, so third base, you guys are not down with Longo for the number 1 spot. So
no, it's Donaldson or Machado or Alberto Castro if you're looking to
Donaldson's
punt.
price tag is just too high. Like earlier, and he brought up a good point. Like at his price tag, he almost has to hit a home run.
No, he has to. If he doesn't hit it, you're boned.
Yeah, it's like the time where this past week when it was Donaldson versus Beltray, people went with Donaldson, and really they had the same. They both homered, but Beltray was significantly less, and he hit another home run. So that's all I have to say. Let's move on to outfield, and I want to hear your thoughts on Yenis and Davis. That would be Yenis Cespedes for the A's. In case
all right, yeah, Yenis.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
In case you
cool.
didn't know about any other Yenis.
I think he's a pretty good arbitrage play on Donaldson. If you don't want to pay all the way up for Donaldson, I think he is a pretty good estimation of what you're hoping to get for a little bit less, significantly less on Draft Street. Outside of that, I don't know. I also really like Adam Jones, who for some reason is still super cheap on FanDuel, and if you can find a way to get Nelson Cruz in, I think he's hitting a home run off Tommy Malone. That's happening. So
he's another guy. He's right there with Josh Donaldson for me as far as
he's more expensive than some pitchers on FanDuel. TBH. It's
different. QTBH with Donaldson for me. With Donaldson and Jones, Cruz,
Yeah.
You'll
you know
get
what there.
I'm saying. Yeah, I'll get there. Then a guy like Miggy and Tulo, or Troy, as we call him. So I'm just not comfortable with paying those outrageous price tags. I can even justify it for Pug, as Michael calls him, or a Trout like last year.
Pug will do stuff like get a triple or steal bases or just jump over the starting pitcher. Like he's like a rabid dog. So that's always fun.
I think it depends how you construct your roster. So I think Dave makes a good point. Like you don't want to lock yourself into having to take a guy who has to hit a home run to justify his price. But if you got a bunch of cheaper value plays you like elsewhere and you're able to make it work, why not? He's the top guy.
Yeah. But if you're going for an expensive pitcher or 2 expensive pitchers, then having that guy and a Donaldson or a Cruz and then having to go cheap everywhere else just isn't worth it to me when guys for $2,000 less are in really good situations. I'd rather have Adam Jones and Cruz tonight. That's just the bottom line.
I think that's well said. I'm fooling around making a few more additional lineups than I usually do, and I keep ending up not having Nelson Cruz pretty much for the exact reasons you just said.
Well, here, let me read out this FanDuel lineup.
Please, Davis, please.
Dallas Keuchel, Derek Norris, Gonzalez, LeMahieu, Donaldson, J.J. Hardy, Nelson Cruz, Adam Jones, Cole Gillespie. That's not a bad lineup at all in terms of it's
but why are you taking, I don't know, FanDuel is so loose on pricing, I don't see why you're taking a guy like Cole Gillespie when you could drop down from Cruz and have another really good outfielder with a guy who's way better than Cole Gillespie.
Because
I think that's Dave's point.
because 3 of my guaranteed dongs are in that lineup, and we're doing this new lineup diversification thing, and I want to have exposure to Cruz.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair. So,
hold on. Can you guys vibe with that or nah?
Yeah, sure. I mean...
Yeah, I can vibe with my buddies.
Ugh, swag.
Birds chirp. So, Ben wrote up... No, actually, Cardi wrote up. I thought it was Ben because Ben loves this guy, but it's Cardi. Number 1, Jason Hayward in the outfield tonight. Davis, you're giving the nice on, but he's only 3K on FanDuel. 4.17, 4.1 on DraftKings, 7 on Draft Street, and Elite 11.5. So not that expensive. Probably wouldn't take him on Elite, but FanDuel for 3K, he is certainly in play for me.
Yeah, I think FanDuel is the spot you would look at him most. He's not on my short list of guys, and like I talked about before, I'm probably higher on McCarthy than most. That's the reason why.
Yeah, there are like a lot of other guys I would rather have, basically. It's an opportunity cost thing. Not in terms of the dollar spent, but in terms of guys that are in the outfield.
All right, we'll talk about
I mean, it's a really good price on him, but like Davis says, you've got Johnny Gomes, 2,900, Ethier, 2,800, Tavares, 2,600, Calhoun, 2,900. There's just a lot of
Josh Hamilton, 3.6.
Yeah, Hamilton, 3.6, Chu, 3.5, Adam Jones, 3.5.
I'm absolutely convinced that Josh Hamilton's forgot how to strike a baseball. It's just awful. He screwed me so hard last night.
He hit a home run the night before. He's only been back 2 games.
Yep. Well.
So he's hit a home run.
He made me really angry, David. Let me vent and be irrational.
Sure,
buddy, he doesn't have room for facts. We've already learned that.
All right.
Never let the truth get in the way of a fun argument.
Speaking of Tommy G, he and Tuttle are having a contest where they basically pick 2 players, and Tommy's is BVP based and Tuttle's is analytics based. It's going to be fun, based on DraftKings, but they pick
That is fun.
2 players and seeing who wins, Tuttle's stats or Tommy's gut. So that will be a fun little segment.
How long is it set up for?
I think the month of June. So it was cute last night, though, because, of course, there was like the Miggy versus... who was the other catcher that Tommy was touting? BVP.
I'm not sure.
Carlos Corcoran, right?
Yeah, it's Corcoran. I'm going to forget. It's Corcoran. We talked about it on the show a bunch. So as soon as Corcoran did something, I think he got 7 DraftKings points. Tommy was all about it. And then Montero, of course, got a little bit more points. Tommy started talking about value. And then Tommy said, well, because I played Corcoran, he allowed me to get Cargo Light. And then posted a screen cap of his DraftKings lineup. Like, no proof at all that that's what caused him to play Cargo Light. He basically just, it appeared, put him in there as to say, just to back up his claim after the fact. So it'll be nice before the fact for this challenge.
I have a question for Leone.
Okay.
Jonathan Scope or Howie Kendrick?
Kendrick's not in the lineup, so still Howie Kendrick because he won't get negatives.
Cool. Well, I mean, that's what I said last night about Charlie Culberson, and then he doubled, which is super annoying.
I was completely kidding.
Guaranteed dong.
Nelson Cruz. It's absolutely happening. I would if there is a prop on Bovada for it, I'm gonna go bet on it.
Smart. All right.
I will go with. Let's go Chris Davis, lefty. I'm gonna say it. He's gonna do it.
Interesting.
That can't be your guaranteed dong, dude. Give something that's gonna help people. No one's playing Chris Davis.
We're gonna have an under the radar guy too. He can say that.
But Chris Davis is under the radar, even in lefty-lefty.
No, but I mean, I'm saying you're going to give an under the radar guy.
Yeah. And
So-
if Chris Davis hits a home run, how is that not helping people?
Davis just mentioned Nelson Cruz, so I'm not sure what his problem is. My guy would be Agon tonight as far as guaranteed dong. Under the radar, Tex, so I'm all about the first baseman. Under the radar for you, Davis?
Oscar Taveras.
Cole Calhoun.
Ooh, I like that one. That's a good one.
I like that.
Except he's like a pure line drive hitter, so and I take him almost every day. So the first time he hits a home run is definitely, first of all, it's definitely going to be off a lefty, and it's also going to be when he's like 7th in the lineup.
I mean, he has 3 home runs on the year.
It was all before the DL stint, though.
Oh, I forgot. We don't count certain things.
I fucking hate you guys.
Language, sir. Such language. Well, that will do it for the Friday edition. Sorry about the lag. Lag is not swag. So hopefully internets will be back up, running strong for Monday's show. And we'll have Cardi, Tuttle, and Dave Laffey hopefully will be back then. And best of luck tonight with all your lineups. Michael, they can reach you at the Daily Fantasy Rundown there at rotoexperts.com. You guys have any specials going on or anything?
We did reduce the season-long price. I think we will probably again towards the end of June, just to bring it in line with how much time is left in the season. And all our packages come with lineup alerts, which send emails directly to your inbox with the lineups for the day and how that affects the landscape of that day's slate.
Nice. Package reduction for the win. Davis, you are playing on Elite. We'll try to get that.
Yeah, this game didn't fill up.
Yeah, we'll try to get that link posted later on tonight. Also, the Forex Challenge there with Fantasy Elite, where if you finish top 5 or top 4 in the winnings and wins leaderboard, you get to play in a $300 free roll over All-Star Break.
Yeah, hey, and just so everyone knows, Will Nelson Cruz hit a home run is plus 300 on Bovada, so go ahead and go bet your life savings on that.
Yeah.
I just did.